hit the subscribe button. Currently only 1.7% of my viewers are. Subscribe once we hit 1,000 subscribers. I'll release an exclusive special video, just for you.
The Endeavour hovered in the silent void of space, its sleek hull reflecting the faint light of distant stars. Inside the ship's command center, Captain Blake Thompson stood at the viewport, his rugged features illuminated by the soft glow of control panels. His eyes, sharp and alert, scanned the massive derelict spacecraft floating ahead, its once majestic structure now a skeletal ruin. "Captain, you're going to want to see this," came the voice of Dr. Elena Moore, the ship's xenobiologist, through the intercom. Blake turned and made his way to the science lab, where Dr. Moore was hunched over a console, her fingers flying across the holographic display. Lieutenant Mark Johnson, Blake's second-in-command, stood nearby, his posture rigid with anticipation. "What have you found, Elena?" Blake asked, his curiosity piqued. Dr. Moore straightened, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "The ship's interior is a treasure trove of ancient technology. But there's something else, an entire chamber filled with statues. At least, we thought they were statues." Blake's brow furrowed. "Thought?" Dr. Moore nodded, pulling up a series of images. "They're too lifelike. I ran a scan, and the readings are off the charts. One figure, in particular, stands out." She tapped the screen, enlarging the image of a woman, seemingly ancient but eerily preserved. "All right," Blake said decisively. "Mark, assemble a team. We're going in." Minutes later, the Endeavour's landing party boarded the derelict ship, their footsteps echoing through the desolate corridors. The air was stale, tinged with the scent of decay and ancient metal. Blake led the way, his flashlight cutting through the darkness, revealing intricate alien symbols etched into the walls. They reached the chamber Dr. Moore had described. Blake's breath caught as he took in the scene, dozens of statues, each one a perfect representation of an alien figure, frozen in time. At the center stood the woman, her eyes closed, her expression serene. "This is incredible," Dr. Moore whispered, stepping closer to examine the figure. "The craftsmanship is, beyond anything we've encountered." Blake circled the statue, his mind racing. "Elena, are you sure she's not alive?" Dr. Moore glanced at her scanner. "The readings suggest a state of suspended animation, but it's unlike any cryostasis I've seen." Blake reached out, his fingers brushing the statue's cold surface. Suddenly, the woman's eyes snapped open, glowing with an ethereal light. The room's temperature plummeted, and an unearthly hum filled the air. "Everyone, back!" Blake shouted, drawing his sidearm instinctively. The woman blinked, her eyes focusing on Blake. She spoke, her voice resonating with a melodic quality, but the words were incomprehensible. Dr. Moore quickly activated a translation device, her hands trembling. The device crackled to life, decoding the language. "I am Lyra, guardian of this ship. Awakened because the great peril is near." Blake holstered his weapon, his mind whirling. "What peril? What are we facing?" Before Lyra could respond, the ship's alarms blared. Lieutenant Johnson's voice crackled over the comms. "Captain, we've got company. An unidentified vessel is closing in fast." Blake's jaw tightened. "Elena, stay with Lyra. Mark, get everyone back to the Endeavour. We need to be ready." The team hurried back through the ancient corridors, the tension mounting with each step. As they boarded the Endeavour, the alien vessel loomed closer, its ominous silhouette stark against the backdrop of stars. In the command center, Blake took his position at the helm. The alien ship was unlike anything he had ever seen, its design both elegant and intimidating. The viewscreen flickered to life, revealing the stern visage of an alien warlord. "You have something that belongs to us," the warlord declared, his voice a low growl. "Surrender the artifact, or face destruction." Blake stood tall, his gaze unwavering. "We need more time. We're not your enemies." The warlord's eyes narrowed. Time is a luxury you do not have. Dr. Moore and Lyra entered the command center, their presence adding a palpable tension to the room. Lyra stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. This power is meant to unite, not destroy. We have a chance for peace. The warlord's expression flickered with uncertainty. Peace? What trickery is this? Blake glanced at Lyra, his mind racing. Thar, let's end this conflict. Together, we can build a future for both our people. Thar hesitated, the weight of centuries of enmity pressing down on him. Perhaps, there is wisdom in your words. Let us see what this new dawn brings. As the two ships began to maneuver into a collaborative orbit, Blake felt a surge of hope. The discovery of the ancient ship and its guardian had set them on a path towards a future where unity and cooperation could triumph over conflict. He knew the journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but with Lyra by their side, they stood a chance at forging a new destiny among the stars. Blake's mind raced as the alien warlord Kthar's image faded from the view screen. The weight of Lyra's presence beside him felt both a burden and a boon. The ship's hum seemed louder, more urgent, as they faced the unknown challenge ahead. We need to understand exactly what we're dealing with, Blake said, turning to Lyra. Her ethereal eyes glowed with a wisdom that belied her youthful appearance. What is this great peril you spoke of? Lyra's voice was calm, yet filled with a sense of urgency. The power source within this ship was designed to protect and preserve. But if misused, it could bring devastation. Kthar's people seek to harness it without understanding its true nature. Dr. Moore, ever the scientist, stepped forward. Is there a way to safely activate it? Something that won't result in catastrophe? Lyra nodded. Yes, but it requires a delicate balance. This technology is ancient, yet it responds to intention and understanding. We must approach it with a unified purpose. Blake's mind worked quickly. Elena, gather all the data we have on the ship's systems. Lyra, we'll need your guidance to ensure we don't trigger any unintended consequences. Mark, coordinate with the crew to maintain our defenses. We can't risk Thar taking us by surprise. As the team dispersed to their tasks, the tension on the Endeavor was palpable. The air buzzed with the energy of focused determination. Blake moved to the control panel, his fingers dancing over the keys as he monitored the ship's status. Every blip and beep seemed louder in the heightened silence. In the science lab, Dr. Moore and Lyra worked side by side, the glow of holographic displays illuminating their faces. Moore's analytical mind processed data at lightning speed, while Lyra's intuitive understanding of the ancient technology provided insights no human could have imagined. This ship's design is extraordinary, Moore murmured, her eyes fixed on the readouts. It's like it's alive, responding to our presence. Lyra smiled faintly. In a way, it is. The Asliel believed in the harmony of all things, technology included. This vessel is an extension of that belief. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Johnson stood on the bridge, his gaze fixed on the approaching alien vessel. His tactical mind assessed every possibility, every potential threat. Captain, the alien ship is holding position, but I don't trust it. They're up to something. Blake joined him, his eyes narrowing as he considered their options. Stay sharp, Mark. We can't afford any surprises. Let's hope Lyra and Elena can figure this out before it's too late. Back in the lab, Moore and Lyra made a breakthrough. We've isolated the primary control matrix, Moore said, excitement creeping into her voice. If we can interface with it directly, we might be able to stabilize the energy output. Lyra nodded, her expression serious. But it will require precise synchronization. Any misstep could trigger a catastrophic reaction. Blake's voice crackled over the intercom. Elena, Lyra, how's it going? We're close, Captain, Moore replied. But we need to be absolutely sure we're in sync. This is delicate work. Blake's tone was firm. Take whatever time you need. We can't afford mistakes. As the minutes ticked by, the tension grew. Every member of the crew felt the weight of the moment, the impending danger that loomed over them. Finally, Moore and Lyra were ready. "Captain, we're ready to attempt the synchronization," Moore reported. "We'll need to be precise and coordinated." Blake took a deep breath. "Understood. Proceed with caution." Lyra placed her hands on the control matrix, her eyes closing as she concentrated. Moore's fingers flew over the console, inputting data with practiced precision. The ship's lights dimmed, and a low hum filled the air, growing in intensity. On the bridge, Johnson's eyes widened as the alien vessel began to move. "Captain, they're on the move again. They're preparing to engage." Blake's heart pounded. "Elena, Lyra, we're running out of time. Whatever you're doing, do it fast." In the lab, Lyra's eyes snapped open, glowing with an intense light. "Now, Dr. Moore. Activate the sequence." Moore's hand slammed down on the console, and the ship shuddered as the energy source came to life. A brilliant light enveloped the ship, momentarily blinding everyone. On the bridge, the view screen showed the alien vessel faltering, its systems overloaded by the sudden surge of energy. Blake seized the moment. "Mark, fire up our defensive systems. Let's make sure they don't get any closer." The Endeavor's weapons sprang to life, targeting the alien vessel with precision. The enemy ship reeled from the assault, retreating under the onslaught. As the light dimmed, Lyra and Moore sagged with relief. "We did it," Moore whispered. "The energy is stabilized. We're safe, for now." Blake's voice, calm yet commanding, echoed over the intercom. "Good work, everyone. Let's regroup and figure out our next move. This isn't over yet." As the crew settled into a cautious calm, the threat of Cthar's return lingered like a storm on the horizon. They had won a crucial battle, but the war was far from over. With Lyra's guidance and their newfound knowledge, they prepared for the challenges ahead, united in their resolve to protect their ship and each other from the ancient peril that threatened them all. The Endeavor's corridors buzzed with an undercurrent of anxiety as the crew braced for the next move. Captain Blake Thompson stood at the helm, his eyes locked on the view screen. The alien vessel loomed ominously, its retreat temporary and its threat undiminished. "Status report," Blake barked, his voice cutting through the tension. Lieutenant Mark Johnson's fingers danced over his console. "Shields at full power, weapons systems primed. But they're not backing down, Captain. They're regrouping." Blake nodded, his mind racing. "We need to stay one step ahead. Elena, any progress on deciphering more of the ship's systems?" Dr. Elena Moore looked up from her station, her brow furrowed with concentration. "We're making headway, but it's slow. This technology is like nothing we've ever seen. Lyra's been invaluable, but we're still piecing together the puzzle." Blake turned to Lyra, who stood calmly amidst the flurry of activity. "Lyra, is there anything more you can tell us about the energy source? Any weaknesses we can exploit?" Lyra's eyes glowed softly as she considered. "The energy source is incredibly powerful, but it's also sensitive. If we can harness it correctly, it could turn the tide. But misuse could be catastrophic for all involved." Blake's jaw tightened. "We need to find a way to use it to our advantage without risking everything. Elena, focus on integrating our systems with the ship's technology. Mark, maintain defensive protocols and prepare for a possible attack." As the team worked, the air grew thick with anticipation. The alien vessel, now identified as the Voracious, inched closer, its intentions clear. Cthar was not a warlord who accepted defeat lightly. "Captain," Johnson said, his voice steady despite the tension, "we've intercepted a transmission from the Voracious. It's Cthar. He's demanding a parley." Blake's eyes narrowed. "Put him through." The view screen flickered, and Cthar's stern visage appeared, his eyes burning with determination. Captain Thompson, we are at an impasse. Surrender Lyra and the energy source, or face annihilation. Blake stood tall, his gaze unwavering. We're not surrendering anything, Kthar. There's a better way. We can find a solution that benefits both our peoples. Kthar's expression hardened. There is no middle ground here. The power on that ship belongs to us. Lyra stepped forward, her voice calm yet firm. Kthar, this power was meant to protect and unify, not to conquer. If you continue down this path, you risk destroying everything. Kthar's eyes flicked to Lyra, a mixture of curiosity and frustration in his gaze. You speak of unity, yet you stand with those who would take what is ours. How can we trust you? Blake interjected, his voice resolute. Trust isn't given, it's earned. Let us work together to stabilize the energy source. If we can do that, it could benefit both our civilizations. Kthar was silent for a moment, his face a mask of contemplation. You have until the next cycle to prove your intentions, Captain. Fail, and we will take what is ours by force. The screen went dark. Blake turned to his crew, his expression grim but determined. All right, we've got our work cut out for us. Let's show them what we're made of. As the crew sprang into action, the tension in the air was palpable. The stakes were higher than ever, and every second counted. In the science lab, Dr. Moore and Lyra worked tirelessly, their fingers flying over the controls as they attempted to integrate the ancient ship systems with the Endeavors. The hum of machinery and the glow of holographic screens created an almost hypnotic atmosphere. Elena, Lyra said, her voice tinged with urgency, we need to synchronize the core frequencies. It's the only way to stabilize the energy output. Moore nodded, her mind racing. I've got it. Just a few more adjustments. In the command center, Blake and Johnson monitored the Voracious. The alien ship remained poised for battle, its weapon systems glinting menacingly. Captain, Johnson said, his voice low, they're charging their weapons. We're running out of time. Blake's heart pounded. Elena, status report. We're almost there, Moore replied, her voice strained. Just need to. There. We're synchronized. Lyra closed her eyes, her hands moving in a graceful pattern over the controls. Initiating stabilization sequence, now. A low hum filled the ship, growing in intensity as the energy source responded. The Endeavor shuddered, but the light around them steadied, glowing with a soft, pulsating rhythm. It's working, Moore said, relief flooding her voice. The energy is stabilizing. Blake's eyes remained fixed on the view screen. Mark, open a channel to the Voracious. The screen flickered to life, and Kthar's image appeared once more. Captain Thompson, what have you done? Blake's voice was calm, resolute. We've stabilized the energy source. It's safe now. Let's use this power to forge a new path, Kthar. One of cooperation and mutual benefit. Kthar's eyes narrowed, but there was a hint of grudging respect in his gaze. Very well, Captain. You have earned your reprieve. For now. As the connection ended, Blake let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. They had won a crucial battle, but the war for peace was far from over. The crew of the Endeavor had proven their resilience and resourcefulness, but the path ahead remained fraught with challenges. With Lyra's guidance and their newfound alliance with Kthar, they prepared for the next phase of their journey, ready to face whatever the cosmos would throw at them. The command center of the Endeavor was a hive of activity. Captain Blake Thompson stood at the center, his gaze unwavering as he assessed the situation. The Voracious lingered in the distance, its presence a constant reminder of the fragile alliance with Kthar. The stakes had never been higher. Captain, Lieutenant Mark Johnson called out, his voice cutting through the din, we've detected unusual energy readings from the planet below. It matches the energy signature of the source we stabilized. Blake's eyes narrowed. Elena, what do you make of this? Dr. Elena Moore analyzed the data, her brow furrowing in concentration. It seems the energy source is not just limited to this ship. There's a network of similar sources on the planet. If we can tap into them, it could provide a sustainable power solution for both our species. Blake nodded. And if Kthar gets to it first? Moore's expression darkened. It could mean disaster. Their approach could destabilize the entire network. Blake turned to Lyra. We need your help to access these sources safely. Can you guide us? Lyra's eyes glowed with a renewed determination. Yes, but we must act quickly. The balance is delicate. Any misstep could be catastrophic. Blake activated the ship's intercom. All hands, prepare for planetary descent. This is a joint mission with the Voracious. Our objective is to secure the energy sources and ensure they are stabilized for mutual benefit. Stay sharp and follow orders. We can't afford any mistakes. As the Endeavour descended towards the planet's surface, the landscape came into view, vast plains dotted with ancient ruins, shimmering with the faint glow of dormant energy sources. The air was thick with tension, the weight of their mission pressing down on everyone. On the ground, Blake and his team, accompanied by Lyra and representatives from the Voracious, moved cautiously towards the nearest energy source. The ruins were a testament to a once great civilization, now silent and enigmatic. Kthar's voice crackled over the comms. Captain Thompson, my team is in position. We await your instructions. Blake glanced at Lyra, who nodded. Proceed with caution, Kthar. Lyra will guide us. Lyra stepped forward, her hands moving in intricate patterns as she interfaced with the control matrix embedded in the ancient structure. The ground beneath them trembled slightly as the energy began to flow, illuminating the ruins with a soft, pulsing light. It's working, Moore whispered, awe in her voice. We're stabilizing the network. But the moment of triumph was short-lived. Alarms blared as sensors picked up rapid movement, an approaching force of rogue Asleal warriors, intent on seizing the energy sources for themselves. Incoming hostiles. Johnson shouted. We need to defend our position. Blake's heart pounded as he issued orders. Mark, set up a defensive perimeter. Elena, keep working with Lyra. We can't let them disrupt the stabilization process. Blaster fire erupted, the sharp cracks echoing through the ruins as the crew of the Endeavour and the Voracious fought side by side against the rogue Asleal. The air was thick with the smell of ozone and the heat of energy weapons, creating a sensory overload that heightened the tension. Lyra's voice cut through the chaos, calm and focused. Captain, the synchronization is almost complete. We need just a few more minutes. Blake nodded, his eyes scanning the battlefield. Hold the line. We're almost there. Dr. Moore, her hands steadied despite the turmoil, continued to input data, her eyes never leaving the console. Lyra, I need you to adjust the frequency. We're getting interference. Lyra's fingers moved deftly, her expression serene. Done. Stabilization at 90%. The rogue Asleal pressed harder, their determination evident. Blake fought alongside his crew, his resolve unwavering. We can't let them through. Protect Lyra and Dr. Moore at all costs. As the battle raged on, a sudden surge of energy coursed through the ruins, momentarily blinding everyone. When the light faded, the rogue Asleal were retreating, their forces overwhelmed by the unexpected power surge. We did it! Johnson exclaimed, his voice filled with relief. They're falling back. Blake turned to Lyra and Moore, who were now bathed in the soft glow of the stabilized energy network. Status report. Moore smiled, exhaustion etched on her face. The network is fully stabilized. We've secured the energy sources. It's a victory, Captain. Kthar's voice came over the comms, surprisingly warm. Well done, Captain Thompson. Today, we have taken the first step towards a new era. Blake nodded, a sense of profound relief washing over him. Indeed, Kthar. This is just the beginning. Together, we can achieve great things. As the crews of the Endeavour and the Voracious began to secure the area and tend to the wounded, Blake stood amidst the ruins, reflecting on the journey that had brought them here. They had faced immense challenges and forged an unlikely alliance, proving that even in the vastness of space, humanity's spirit of resilience and cooperation could prevail. With Lyra's guidance and the united efforts of their crews, Blake knew they had not only secured a powerful energy source but also paved the way for a future where trust and unity could overcome even the greatest of adversities.